Hi everybody, how's it morning, afternoon, evening, and night? So I just want to create this video for you guys just because I want to let you guys know that I was able to take the time to watch the live action remake of Disney's Snow White that came out this year, which I did, as a matter of fact, watch the movie at the beginning of April at April the 2nd, 2025, so you guys know at the time, on a Wednesday. So pretty much I had to say that I watched it. It was quite something. And of course, I know most of you are wondering that in your video title that you said that it is terrible. What's the reason why? So ultimately, later in the video, I will try to explain why I think it's terrible, which I will put more information in the description in the pinned comments, so you guys know at a time for more info and references and etc. So pretty much before I reach towards the main part of the video specifically, I kind of took the time and opportunity to watch the official trailer of the remake of the movie, which I saw last year, by the way, on December 3rd, 2024. But I will not play the video because there might be possible chances of copyright claims, if there's a possible chance, and etc. So pretty much I watched the entire trailer specifically, and there were those instances where I noticed that there was like certain changes and a little bit of like additional story elements that was added to the remake. So I was like, seems a little bit out of place and out of touch whatsoever, and etc. And I think from my perspective that I think overall with the official trailer that I watched, this one particularly, I think the best way to describe it is very weird at best. Quite weird.
Weird.
So pretty much after watching that trailer, I saw the feedback, and it's pretty much self-explanatory, as you can clearly see over here. It got pretty much ratioed to oblivion, which I'm not gonna lie, it was not looking pretty. I'm pretty sure about almost the majority of most people were not liking it. I don't blame them, because the trailer just felt like very off-putting in my opinion, and etc. So pretty much I wanted to say what needs to be said. And originally the movie was supposed to come out last year of March 22nd, 2024. But apparently due to the SAG and AFTRA strike specifically, like the actors, actresses, and writers were on strike at the time for like better wages and stuff like that, and so on, and etc. So pretty much that's what happened. Of course, the movie got delayed, which they ultimately had to like put up with backlash and controversies. They had to go to great lengths to try to like replace the people that were supposed to play as dwarves and replace it with CGI dwarves instead. And of course, you have like moments of like rewriting the scripts of like the story and stuff like that. And of course, you have like the leading actress that's going out of her way to pretty much try to like bash on the original like 1937 Disney Snow White whatsoever, which of course he says like weird sort of thing. Her usual quotes, how she's mentioned about like some kind of like strong independent character of like Snow White that's supposed to be like a leader and stuff like that. I'm just like, that doesn't make any freaking sense. It's silly. So and then there's gonna be those instances where she went out of her way to try to like bash on people, and as well as like bashing on her co-star, of course, and etc. As well as dragging in politics as well, which honestly, from my perspective, I'm not a fan of politics. That's why I stay away from it. I see it as a hornet's nest, and I stay as far away from it as possible because I do not want to get stung. I'm like, no thank you. Because if I ever got stung by that stuff, I'm like, you know what, I might as well just go to the doctor and maybe get myself some like anti-inflammatory ointment if necessary, so that way just make the pain go away. All kinds of craziness. So that's the best way to describe it. So yeah, and then also I will also include like the box office and as well as the people's reviews about the movie and etc. Just a little heads up for you guys. So I'm gonna get to my experience when I watched the movie, which before watching the movie, during and after as well as comparing it to the original as well. Keep you guys informed. So pretty much I'm gonna start from the when I got to like downtown around like late morning. So I entered downtown from like northeast, And I pretty much went to the north side of downtown just because I wanted to fix my bicycle because I needed to replace my brake pads as well as like repairing my like derailleur cassette as well as replacing my bicycle chain as well. So I went to the north of downtown to the bicycle shop and I told the bike mechanic I wanted to get this fixed and whatsoever. Da, 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 da. And he told me to come back in a few hours, like basically about like 3 to 4 hours specifically, and etc. So I kind of was thinking to myself, okay, what to do in downtown. So I decided to just try to figure out what to do within a couple minutes, or at least about like 8 minutes at least. So I was thinking about like going to the restaurant, go to the gym, and maybe even like somewhere else. And I thought to myself, hey, I can just take the time and opportunity to go to the movie theater since I haven't been to one for so long. Because the last time I've been to the movie theater was like all the way back in like June 2016 to what I remember in recent memory. So about like almost 9 years ago. And I think the last time I've been in the movie theater was in 2016. And the last movie I watched there, I think the last time I like went to the movie theater I watched was like Deadpool 1. And that movie was hilarious. And yeah. And that was the last time I've been to like a movie theater. So eventually this year I was able to go to the movie theater. And I figured, hey, I guess I could just watch a movie. So I went from north of downtown all the way towards the middle of downtown, central downtown specifically, which took me at least about like 25 to 30 minute walk specifically. I had to put up with like windy elements as well as like rain and snow mix, all kinds of craziness. I was able to like get to the center of downtown. Got to the movie theater at the shopping mall. Had to take about at least about like 4 escalators at least to get up there. Like to get to the fourth floor of the shopping mall specifically, where the movie theater was. Got to the movie theater, and I was about to like go to like where the front desk reception is, but apparently nobody was there. It's the only thing the only few people I see so far were the staff that were like ticket holders specifically. Because it wasn't like too busy at the movie theater, so I was like, okay. And then eventually I did have to use a self-service machine to get my movie ticket. So ultimately I selected the movie I was gonna watch. I took like one adult ticket, which cost me at least about like $21.75 specifically, plus taxes, which led to a grand total of $24.58. Which I'll also put like the receipts on the screen, as well as other stuff too, as I explained the experience that I had to go through. Because I do have to say that the movie ticket was like pretty pricey if you ask me. It's pretty crazy. And I gotta tell you, that movie price is like gonna be like the cost of like some sort of like fast food restaurant price. Like in case you ever get like a family price, like if you were to go to like Wendy's as well as Burger King and stuff like that kind of price. I was like, what? It's crazy. So I was like, whatever. Because it is obviously like an IMAX ticket, so I was like, whatever. And it did also have like snack combos as well that cost between like $23 and $42. I was like, heck nah. I ain't touching that. That stuff is just enough to cost like a highway toll if you ask me. I was like, no thanks to that. So eventually I got my tickets, went to the ticket gates, and they told me where to go to where my screening room of the movie I was supposed to watch. So ultimately, before I went there, I went to the food section of the movie theater just to get myself like a nacho grande, and of course getting myself like 2 clear containers of like sliced jalapeno peppers, as well as 2 dipping sauces as well of like nacho cheese, which cost me at least about a total of like $9.49 specifically. So I got my snacks and stuff like that, but no drinks or whatsoever, because I don't want to deal with the combo stuff, because combos like that can be a bit pricey. So I have to watch out for the most. So ultimately got my snacks, went to the screening room, and I saw the poster of the movie I was supposed to watch, which is the remake of Disney Snow White. So I entered the room, and as I entered the room, I just about to head towards the staircases towards my assigned seat specifically. Ultimately, I saw at least about like 4 people in total in that screening room, and myself included. I think the best way I could describe it in my perspective, which I will put the video on the screen so you guys know at the time. So the best way I could describe it, like off camera and on camera, like before and after, I think the best way I could describe it is like it makes it look like an empty vessel of a graveyard shift, if you ask me, like at a cemetery. It felt like so lifeless. It's like from my perspective, it was like very much like dead inside. It's like, goodness gracious. I guess not a lot of people were too keen. I was probably assuming that not a lot of people were too keen about this movie, so I was like, well, oh boy. So ultimately, I took my seats. I was eating my snacks, which I was watching the movie from beginning, middle, and as well as making sure to check on the credit post as well. So in case if there's like possibilities of like teasers, of like spin-off trailers, I was like, okay, thank God. They didn't bother. I'm like, thank God they didn't put like any teasers for like a sequel or spin-off. It would have been like catastrophe whatsoever. Because I had to go through like the entire movie like it was like mental gymnastics, but in a more like crazy way as possible. Like a lot of mental gymnastics I had to go through with that movie just to process the amount of information of what I just like watched and think to myself, what in the Everglades did I just got myself into? So that's what pretty much happens. So ultimately, I pretty much put through my, so I pretty much finished all my snacks and I just put in like the recycle garbage, whatever I gotta do. And then ultimately left the movie theater out of the shopping mall. And I took another 25 to 30 minute walk back to the bicycle shop from the middle of downtown all the way towards the north of downtown. And I was able to get to the bicycle shop and very much like paid between like 100 to 150 bucks to get my bike fixed up, which is not too bad, and etc. And yeah, got my bike back and I was able to ride my bicycle all the way from downtown back to the suburban area of my home, which took me at least about like an hour 35 minutes. And pretty much I went ahead and gone on my way to watch the original 1937 of Snow White, Disney Snow White specifically. So I watched the entire movie, and pretty much in my perspective I kind of prefer the original, but again I'll probably like later in the video I'll probably like explain more, etc. So I pretty much want to get that out of the way. So I'm gonna try to go to the review specifically on IMDb, which I did make sure to pause the video here just to make sure. So ultimately the reviews were pretty much self-explanatory, so I'm gonna go to it real quick. And you probably see right there that about 90.3% of people didn't like it. Well, like the small percentage of them are just like positive and whatsoever. And I might try to like look at a few reviews here and there. Let me just pause this for a second. I'm not sure why it keeps doing that. Auto plays these days. What can you do? So if I were to try to look at people's reviews specifically, which I'm gonna at least like look at a few of them, and pretty much they didn't like the movie. I don't blame them. Just look at a few of them, and that's what pretty much happened. Yeah, it speaks for itself. And then if I were to go to the box office here, which I'm just looking at the numbers website here, so I'm just looking at the summary of like domestic worldwide box office. And then if I were to try to like look at the graph here just a little bit, it kind of just creeped up a little bit within a couple of days. From that all the way towards the current one by the time of the recording. Maybe future updates eventually. So if I were to try to look at over here on a weekend box office performance, like it debuted on like March 21st, 2025, and eventually just like dropped off like next week with minus 66%. right over here and there. And then eventually, once I look at the daily box office performance, I've seen like more like minus numbers more often than the positive numbers instead. It was insane. It's pretty crazy. It was like dropping off like really fast. Cause I'm pretty sure not a lot of people were crazy about this movie. And then look at weekly. Yeah, more minus percentages too. Holy smokes. It was dropping down so hard like an anchor. And check international. Okay, United Kingdom strong. Okay. And the lowest one is Argentina. I'm not that crazy about that. International numbers. Yeah. So I made that much over here. Okay. Just looking at the date here. So at least about that amount too for international. Okay. Cool. So yeah, that's what happened there. And let me see if I could try to like go to the original at the moment. Just for a brief moment. And pretty much if I were to look at reviews at the original one for Disney Snow White from 1937, which even though it says 1938, but still. As you can clearly see that there was like people that enjoyed it. All kinds of things. And yeah. I'll probably look at a few reviews as well. These are reviews. Because I know it's a very old movie and stuff like that, but you know, just like a little bit of a hill in there. Yeah. Because I can tell by like the review date over here that you know, people preferred like this one instead. And they did also like went out of the way to talk about the 2025 movie and stuff like that. And yeah, because I don't really blame them here and there, etc. So I just want to look at a few reviews here and there just to say what needs to be said and etc. So I think most of the people would rather prefer the original over the remake, to be fair, and etc. So overall, which I'm gonna get to my final thoughts at the moment. Let me see if I can try to get back to the page here. It's a little bit like bright. Blech. There we go. So I have to say overall, in my opinion, which I'm at my final thoughts right now. So I think from my perspective, with the experience of watching the remake of the movie specifically, I think the best way I could describe this movie was very much like terrible at best. It just felt like a very much like a disservice to the original Disney Snow White that came out in 1937. So well, my thoughts about the remake is that due to the fact they were going out of the way to try to make like story changes and times and moments that they made like moments where they just felt like a little bit off-putting for some reason when it comes to those moments of having to like cut out like certain parts of the movie that didn't make any sense, and times and moments where the dwarves seemed like very odd and unusual in CGI and stuff like that. And there are just instances where it felt like a disservice to it as well, where I saw like the essence of the remake felt like very like hollow and empty at the same time whatsoever. How they're trying to like at least try to like get the familiarity and nostalgia bait on there, but unfortunately it failed to deliver because due to the fact, from my perspective, having to watch the entire movie as best as I can, however I could, I just disliked the remake more often. It just felt like very, very disingenuous and whatsoever. It's just that there's just instances where I tend to question why is it that they're remaking a classic that tend to more oftenly tries to alienate the audience more often than having to actually just respect the original source material, in my honest opinion. Because again, I may have to bring up the mental gymnastics I had to put up with, because I had to like process the amount of information as possible to try to like figure out Why exactly did they screw up in this remake really badly? Why is it that they do that? It just felt like very much like dishonorable at best, if you ask me. So eventually, once I decided to compare it with the original 1937 movie, as at least with the 1937 movie, on the other hand, is able to give you that charm stuff, at least like something that's very like heartfelt, very unique in its own way, especially like when it's relatable to people's everyday lives and stuff like that. That's pretty much pretty relatable. And of course, you have like musicals that felt just well put together with the pacing and stuff like that, especially the themes, as well as those moments where the characters are very memorable in the original more often, and etc. So overall, in my honest opinion, I rather prefer like the original Snow White movie from the 1937 than the one that came out in 2000, than the one that came out in 2025, in my honest opinion. So I kind of wanted to see what needs to be said with my final thoughts, just to let you guys know at a time, and etc. Of course, once again, thank you all so much. I will, of course, obviously, will put the information in the description and pinned comments once again. And I'll tell you guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope everybody has a very good morning, afternoon, evening, and night, as well as staying safe. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care.